Good morning everyone. Today is the day that I have been dreading for a very long time, but it needs to be done. Today is the day where I declutter all of my craft supplies. So I did have a small declutter of my craft supplies a couple of months ago, and I did get rid of quite a lot of stuff there, but I still have an awful long way to go. So today my aim is to get my craft supplies down to just what I need for 3 projects. So I have currently got 3 projects on the go. One is a journal, one is a wedding photo album, and the last one is a very long awaited Christmas Carol themed journal for all of our Christmas photos. So I really want to remove anything from my craft stuff that does have nothing to do with those. I've got quite a lot of papers, quite a lot of scraps, stickers, ribbons, all of that don't really relate to any of these projects. So I'm going to be getting rid of those today. So I cleared off my dining table and I am just going through every single thing I have. I'm pulling it up onto the table and I'm putting it into piles for each of the respective projects. So at the back of the table you can see there I have my wedding project. At the front bottom I have my Christmas Carol journal stuff, and in the back there with the sort of orange ribbon I have my sort of let's call it the navy journal. We'll call it the navy journal today. So, and then in the far back corner I have all the tools and supplies that I need to do all of the different projects. So there's quite a lot of tools, there's quite a lot of papers, there's an awful lot to go through here, but I really want to get it done today because I want to get rid of the big storage blanket box that I've currently got all of the craft stuff in. Later on this year I am wanting to redo the whole dining room. The table that I'm currently separating things out onto will be going, and I will be having my like dresser unit over here. It's currently over by the front window, doesn't really work there, it's very cluttered and it's in the way of the radiator, so I'd like to have that over here underneath the clock. We don't really use the dining table, we end up just sort of dumping stuff on it, so I think it's time to say goodbye to it. It's a lovely thing to have, but we only really all sit around it on Christmas Day and it's just not worth looking after this big piece of furniture for one day of the year. So anyway, back to the crafting. I have always been a very avid crafter. I love to make things, I love to make beautiful things, special gifts, very unique and very different things. I also have recently discovered a love of bookbinding. I love to make my own books, but it does require an awful lot of stuff. And although it is nice that I finally got to a point where I have all the things that I need to make these books, I now don't have the time or the space. So time to say goodbye to a lot of it. So at the minute I'm just going through all of my cardstock, all of my papers and things like that, and just pulling out the last few bits that I will need to complete the projects that I have going on. Everything else is going into a big box behind me. Unfortunately you can't see that, but there is a big box behind me that all the bits are going into, and there's a fair amount by the end of it, which is quite nice. I definitely feel like I've made a huge dent in it, and then I can just finish up these projects and rehome my tools and supplies to another crafter. There's plenty of us out there, and they can have a whale of a time with it. I won't be selling any of the bits because you end up kind of waiting for people to pick them up and all of this and that, and I'd really like to help somebody out. So I have contacted a lot of the local schools, nurseries, retirement homes, things like that, to see if they want any of the craft supplies, and they have all said no. So it will be going to another crafter. I think it's some sort of security issue. They don't know where it's come from, they don't know where it's been, things like that. So it will definitely just be gifted to another crafter, and I hope they will love it. So I'm currently going through some Christmas papers here, which I kept hold of because I was planning on making a lovely Christmas photo album, like a family one. but that's just not going to happen. So I'm pulling out a few pieces that will work with my Christmas Carol Scrooge journal. I'm taking out a couple of little pieces from I think it was a night before Christmas card making set that I'm going to make into a couple of Christmas cards or maybe bookmarks, something like that, to go into my large Christmas tome that I have already on the shelf. And then all the rest of it is going. This is so hard for me because keeping hold of scraps saves me so much money. Making little tags and labels and cards and things like that. So it's hard for me, but it really does feel very, very therapeutic to be getting this far with it. And I did actually manage to get it all done. I do love giving more unique gifts. But I have noticed recently, over the last few years, I don't know if it's just a change in trend or just the mindset of people at the moment, but people don't seem to kind of appreciate the amount of work that has gone into things as much as they used to. So I could sit here and I could make a big, beautiful, personalised journal for somebody and wrap it up all beautifully and give them this, what I feel is this really amazing, unique gift. And they'll kind of be like, oh, that's nice, and it will vanish out of existence. You'll never see it again, and you know they've thrown it away. And I do understand, like, when you are given these kinds of things, you don't always realise how much work's gone into them, how much thought's gone into them, how much planning has gone into them, and it's not really anyone's fault. It's just the way of the world at the moment. Everybody wants Pandora bracelets, So I'm also trying to be a little bit more selfish. I hate saying that, but I am actually striving to be a little bit more selfish at the moment and not waste so much of my time trying to make the perfect thing for somebody when that's not really what they want. They want big sparkly things these days, and that's just the way of it. So now that I have pretty much separated everything off into the piles for each project that I will need, I'm just going through the leftovers of old journals that I've made. So I've got some pieces of board here, I've got some gift bags, I've got extra little scraps of paper, things like that. And I'm just going through those and making sure that I've not missed anything that could be useful in one of the books that I'm going to be making. And then I'm putting all of the projects that I do have, so the 3 projects I mentioned earlier, into individual boxes at the moment, and these little zip bags, so that they are all in one place. So when I do come to do them, I can just grab the one little pouch and get on with that one, rather than digging through the big chest that you can see behind me now, trying to find all the bits. It was a bit of a nightmare, and it was a real mess. So to have them all together in one place is going to be really, really helpful. And then if I do get the urge to make something, I can just pull out one of the projects. So the Christmas Carol Scrooge journal is something that I've always wanted to make. It will be for me, and inside it I will keep photographs, Christmas lists, all those lovely things from my children growing up, all the lovely Christmas memories that we have, and future Christmas memories too will all go into the Scrooge journal. So that one will be for me. The wedding journal I have been asked to make by a colleague at work for some friends of hers that are getting married. I'm just waiting on some final details of colour schemes and things like that, and then I can get that made. And the final journal I am making as a gift for a friend. So this is the very last one that I'll be making as a gift for somebody. Like I said earlier, I don't think the effort's really appreciated, and it's time to be a little bit more selfish. But it also frees up some time too for me, because where I would spend I mean, often months making these books for people. I now have that time that I can spend by myself or with my children, or doing some of the things that I love. So this is the front cover of the blue journal that I'm working on at the moment, and that's all going to be put together into one lovely big box, so it's nice and easy. That's the one that's closest to completion, so that'll be the one that I'm doing first, followed by the Scrooge journal, and finally the wedding album, and then I can finally button up my crafting era. I still will have, I've got quite a lot of cross stitches, embroideries, things like that I can do if I'm feeling crafty, but this bit, the books, will be over. So I've reached that point of the craft stuff declutter where I am starting to regret starting. So I'm going to stop and have a cup of tea and something to eat, and then come back to it to do all the tools and the glues and the sticky stuff and stuff like that. But I do have the 3 projects that I'm working on separated off, so they're all together. Everything that I need for them is all together now. So the last bit should actually be easy, but I need to have a little break from it for a second. Okay, so break is over, tea is drunk, I'm feeling a lot better, I am remotivated and ready to start with the second stage of the craft declutter. So I'm moving on now to the tools. Who knew a girl could need this much glue? So I have my favourite glue, which is the ones with the black caps there, which is the, what's it called? Art glitter glue. Which is really, really good. But one time when I was online trying to buy some, I couldn't find it, so I bought the big pots of the tacky glue. It's an okay glue, but it's not as good as the art glitter glue, so I am going to get rid of those big tacky glues because I just don't use them now that I have the art glitter. I also have a fabric glue for gluing the covers and the material onto the covers of the books, and I have my double-sided tape. Now, there is a lot of double-sided tape there, as I'm sure you can see, but the photo albums in particular take up so much double-sided tape. So I'm definitely going to keep hold of all of those until all the projects are done, and then I'm going to pop them into my Christmas wrapping bag, so that when it comes to Christmas time again, I can wrap the presents a lot more neatly without having to see the sticky tape. Been watching some tutorials about that, already getting ready for next Christmas. So I'll be keeping hold of those. So the next things I'm looking at are my glue gun and hot glue. I do use those on a pretty regular basis, so they're going to stick around. I've also gone through my punches and my inks and stamps. So I'm only keeping holding of the stamps that I'm going to be needing for these projects. The rest are going into the bin, which is sad because I love stamping. But like I say, it's all got to go. And then I've just got my little die cutter. I do have also a large Big Shot die cutter, but I find that I just really don't use that. None of the dies that I have needed for the project have needed to be big enough to warrant the big die cutter. So I'm going to buy some new plates for it. I don't think they're that much, maybe £20 for a set of new plates, and that will be gifted to another crafter somewhere in my local vicinity, and they can make use of it too. So at the minute I'm just going through the dies that I have that fit in my mini Gemini cutter, pulling out the ones that I will need for the projects that I have lined up, and then the rest of them will be going into the box with the big die cutter and will be given away. It's already looking so much better. Everything is fitting into the smaller red box at the moment. I do have a new kind of plastic storage chest coming from Argos later on today. I'm hoping, I've ordered a small one, I'm hoping it's going to be big enough to hold each of the projects and then a drawer for tools. And then as I wind down the projects, that is a unit that can be used in another room. I'm thinking possibly in the girls' room or maybe in the cupboard under the stairs for storing like cleaning supplies, microfiber cloths, tea towels, things like that. Or if it goes into the girls' room, it can be used for storing my daughter's drawing things. She is an amazing artist and she loves to draw, and it'd be really nice for her to have somewhere to store all of her craft stuff as well. So it's going to go in one of them two places, but for the time being it's going to store all of the supplies that I have gone through today, and just there'll be more out of the way. It's going to go onto the unit above the tumble dryer in the corner rather than being in the way. So it's now later on in the day. You can see the drawers have arrived, and I'm going to see if everything will fit in them. That box behind me on the table is all the stuff that is being thrown away. There is also a bin bag on the floor next to me that has stuff in it too. So I did really, really well. I'm very proud of myself. It got really hard there, like halfway through, and I really didn't want to throw half of the stuff away that I did, but I managed it. It's worked out okay. I've got everything I need, and I'm not sad about throwing things away anymore. So I'm just popping everything that I can get into these drawers. There are a couple of bits that are too large, like the I think I've got 12 by 12 inch like fiberboard kind of card that I use for the covers of the books. That's not going to fit in here. I did notice these don't really like to close. There's like a little clip at the back that they catch on. I don't think it's a huge issue. I'm not going to be going in and out of them multiple times a day, but it's a little bit annoying. I won't deny it. But for the time being, you know, they're going to be just fine. And it might be that I upgrade them. I don't know. I don't think so. I think I'll stick with these, and I'll just find a way to sort of even out that bump at the back that stops them from going in. So I've got a drawer for the wedding album stuff, a drawer for the blue journal, a drawer for the Christmas Carol journal, and the final drawer for the tools, stamps, ribbons, things like that I'm going to need to get these projects finished. I cannot believe it's finally done. I have been putting this project off for, oh my goodness, literal months. I think I was looking at it back in September thinking, I've really got to sort out this stuff, and I've only just done it now in February. It's a little bit embarrassing, but I'm so glad that it's now done. I can look forward to having a little bit more space in my dining area, all my stuff organised. It's just really, really nice, and I'm definitely in a mood to do more decluttering. Hopefully it's inspired you too, and I will see you in the next decluttering video. Bye bye.